Good morning. This is Ron Brown. It's early morning on January 1st, 2024. Happy New Year. Let's hope for another good year coming up, not only in the financial markets, but for the world situation. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about today in this video, and I'm going to try to keep it relatively short. This is an end-of-year index summary and what to look for in the future with HGSI. And remember, the market is your teacher. Standard risk disclaimer: any stock, index, or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you don't use High Growth Stock Investor, you should. And you'll see why as I go through this video. I have my program open already, and I want to point something out. I'm going to be talking about indexes, and my global index options are I weight by market value weighting to give a heavier weighting to the large cap stocks. My relative start date is Friday this week, and I go back 104 weeks to create a 2-year chart of the indexes. I'm going to cancel out of that, then I'm going to go into my designer, and where I'm going to start is in my market analysis user groups. I'll click on folder number 1. I'll click through to the warehouse view. Now I'm using my 32-inch monitor, so I get a lot of information on here. I'll just sort on this, a percentage price change one day. I'm in view number 1, and this shows me what happened on Friday. Now I've added I added BITO to this also. I had GBTC in here, but I thought I would add the ProShares ETF also because crypto, a lot of discussion about crypto. A lot of people like to trade crypto, and as you will see, it has been one of the best performers this year. So what I have here is a combo rank which sorts on the percentage price change last day. So this is the way the market was. And then I have beginning of the week, 5-day, 21-day, and so on. But since we're doing the end of the year, I'm going to drop down here to number 8, percentage returns up to 12 months. And then this combo is sorted on beginning of year. So these are the results from the beginning of the year. And if you look over here, you'll see that the Bitcoin Investment Trust and BITO are the two leaders. This one's up 317% for the year. The BITO is up 96.5, followed by the SOX, then the NASDAQ 100, and so on. The only losers were the ultra short-term VIX, the UVXY, and the utility average. If you look at this column here, this is the days since the 3 crossed the 6. This is one of my primary indicators, and it's a very reliable indicator. I say reliable because a stock or an index has to pass through these up and down for market movement. So I put a lot of stock in the 3 crossing the 6. Now, I'm just going to bring up a chart, the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, and here's the chart right here. Notice there's no volume on this, but I can quickly look at this chart, and this is chart number 2B, context 3618 EMAs, and I can quickly see that it's been 15 days since the last crossover, or 16 days, 0 being the crossover day, and that would be, let me bring up an arrow here. That would be right here where it crossed over, and you can see that corresponds with this crossover up here. Now this is that market cap weighted index, the SOX, and what I'm going to do is I want to look at the stocks within the SOX. So let's just drop down. Let's get out of, I need to get out of this drawing tool. I'm going to drop down to my broad market indices, and you can see that these are the indexes that are created by HGSI. And it's been 14 days or 15 days since the crossover on this. So a little bit different. Let me go back up to the top. Okay, the SOX, 15 days, and then I go down to the broad market indices, and it is 14 days, as you can see right here. So there's a 1 day difference. But by going down to this index here, I can change to the index group, and then I can look at the stocks in this index and see when they crossed over. So going back to this, AMD and NVIDIA crossed over on the same day. Broadcom did too, and Intel was just a day later, as along with Lam Research. So when you see a crossover on these indexes, you can quickly go down using the broad market indices and see which the leading stocks are. So I'm going to bring NVIDIA up, and once again it tells me that it's been 14 days since the crossover. That's right here in this chart, and here this would be the crossover right here. Now NVIDIA is heavily traded, of course. It's a dangerous stock if you have been in it for a long time. It certainly was a buy and hold, but there's been a lot of emotional swings on this stock. But my point is, when you go top down with HGSI, you can see which stocks are moving the index. Let's look at AMD. This should be a little bit smoother. It's a lot smoother. So once again, crossed over 15 days ago, and that would correspond to the semiconductor index, which is not generated by HGSI, but it crossed over. You can see it right there. Here's the crossover. Here's the crossover. And I want to point out down here at the bottom, these blue bars. Now, I call them 5 and 10 day pocket pivots. This would be a pocket pivot, but they're not necessarily pocket pivots. The way I use them, and I've incorporated them into the program, it shows when volume, when they're blue bars, even though there's a red bar in here, if the price is up, this one right here, the price is up, it's a red candle. That's why this is red here, but it closed up, so this volume, the blue, indicates that the volume on any of these bars is greater than any down volume on a down day, either the prior 5 or 10 days. Now, Gil Morales used to just use, and Chris Ketzer used to use 10-day pocket pivots, and then they added 5-day pocket pivots. So that's why I put them in here. And it really works well because you can see when there's heavy buying or heavy selling based upon stocks or indexes that are moving up or down. So when you see a lot of blue bars or blue areas on heavy volume, that means there's a lot of money coming in to these stocks. So let's just put a little box around here if I can. And you can see that this stock was moving up sharply on this heavy volume. In addition to these blue bars, notice that the volume point of control went from red to green. This is over a 10-day period. This is a very sensitive indicator here. So when you get a pullback like this, you'll get something like this. But notice the 3 didn't cross down below the 6. I want to emphasize these are simple indicators, but they work. You don't have to junk up your screen with a bunch of other indicators. I mean, there's thousands of indicators, and they all work off of price and volume, and I stick with these because they do the job. Simple or exponential moving averages, crossovers, and you incorporate volume with that, and you're able to use all the VPA, VSA, whatever you want to call it, and the Wyckoff principles. With a simple chart, you can tell what's going on. As the market, as the stock goes up and it expands, these lines on the histogram are going to get wider. And then as the momentum comes down a little bit, they come together, the moving averages, and this falls off. So there's a tremendous amount of information in here. And then if you want to use the fan also, you just go to chart number 2. But for my prospect, I use this one because it less response time in the chart and so on. There aren't as many indicators. Okay, I want to point something else out. For those of you that have my files, securities and industry, I put this column in yesterday so you can quickly see how many securities are in an industry. So in the semiconductor devices, there's devices and manufacturing. In the devices, there are 65 stocks. In the manufacturing, there are 27. Now, if I go back to this index, nothing shows up because these stocks, you have to go down to the next level to see the, I'm going to change to this. So Visa, for example, in its group, there are 45. You can see American Express is in the so on. Just a quick read on how large these groups are, and where this really is helpful, go down to the industries, and you can see that a lot of these groups really don't have many stocks in them. If you sort on this, go to the top, you're going to find the groups with the most stocks. Look at the biotech and financials. I mean, there's a lot. Investment companies. These are SPACs primarily. There's a bunch of stocks. So I thought this would be helpful for users to quickly get a read on a group before you spend too much time analyzing a group or looking at a group. If there's only 2 stocks in a group, you won't have to invest a bunch of time analyzing that group. But when you get into these larger groups, then you can look for the better stocks in the groups using relative strength and some of these other indicators that are in here. I'm just going to stay in this folder right now for a minute. I want to point some things out. On the top-down scorecard views for HCSI index analysis, I'm on percentage price change 1 day here. If you go down to number 8, it's going to sort on percent from the beginning of the year. And you can see that this transaction management system was up 285.6%. But there are only 3 securities in here. So if I change to this, you can see there are just 3 securities in here. So that number is big, but it's only 3 securities. Now here's one with 2 securities. Let's go down here. You can see the semiconductors, 65 securities, up 83.3. Now this number is based upon my indexing method with the market cap weighting. So it's going to vary some from the, if you just go to the semiconductor index itself. One thing you should be aware of is, and these have been in here for a long time, if you only want the indexes that trade 100,000 shares, click on number 2. You can see there's 176 up here, but when I click on this one, it cuts it down to 96. So these are going to be the most active, and then you look down the security list here, and you'll see that there's quite a few stocks in each of these groups. Here's your advanced decline sorted on AD. Shows you where the strength was based upon advancing issues versus declining issues. Now this one's very useful, this one and this one, because it shows you the groups that were up for the day. And if you click on this, you can see that educational services crossed over on Friday. So there may be an opportunity to get in on stocks that are just crossing over. We know the index is crossing over. Let's change to the industry group. Nothing crossed over on the industry group today. But if I take this filter off by holding my shift key, I can see where the freshest stocks are. Here's one. China Liberal Arts Education, or Liberal Education. I'd be very leery of anything like this. You look over here and you can see what's junk and what isn't by looking at the prices. If I sort on the days since. Put these zeros together. Here's the index. Here is a stock, $12.63. It's crossing over. Let's take a look at it. And this is a potential trade here. It has a group rank of 86. If I open this up, I can see it has an RS of 94. This is a daily chart. I'm going to hit alternate W. Let's look at the weekly chart. You can see that it's been trending up for quite some time now. This is weekly, but this is the relative strength to its group, the green. Let's go back to daily. And you can see that the green line turned up. This is the group, the cyan line. Green line turned up as this stock is outperforming. So the index, I don't see a lot of good candidates in here, but my point is when you see an index crossing over or that's relatively fresh, I need to resort this here. These with the zero crossed over today, and then these groups are fresh. 2 days ago, this would be 4 days ago, and so on. So you can look down the list, and then you can go top down and look for stocks that recently crossed over. Okay, let's just, out of curiosity, let's look at the PC and Insurance Index. 51 securities in here. This crossed over 2 days ago. I'm going to change to the industry group. And then what I would do is I would look down here for the recent crossovers. So here's Berkeley Corp. Crossed over on Friday. Take a look at it. It's had a nice run. RS of 50 is all, but nice chart here, a pullback. Here's the crossover. There's that blue bar. That tells me that on this day, the volume was greater than any down day volume over the past 5 or 10 days. And it has to be over the past 5 because this is more than 10 days ago right here. I'm going to show you this, edit the current view. And let's just look at the filter. Here it is, percent volume greatest than previous 5-day down volumes greater than 0. 5 or 10 days and the percentage price change on the security has to be up for the day. It works pretty well to just spot money flowing in with volume. Just look across here and you'll see there are several blue bars as money was coming into the stock. Now, the reason I use these charts is they're simple. I mean, just think about it. All you have to know is a crossover, volume point of control. Is there heavy volume coming in on certain days? That's really all there is to it. And then you are working with demand and supply, effort versus result, and everything else. You can spend your life looking at divergences on MACD or all these other indicators, and in my opinion, it's just a waste of time. But you know, it's up to you. And I'm showing you how to do this going top down. This takes a little more time. Yeah, it does. But what this allows us to do is to find fresh stocks in groups that have crossed over recently or are crossing over today. Okay, I've moved back to the indexes up today. If you click on this, index is down 151 down. On Friday, only 21 up. So that's quite a few groups that were down on Friday. And if you look at the NASDAQ chart, you can see that there's been some deterioration over the past few days. So that's something to be aware of. My opening slide, it says the market is your teacher. It is the teacher. I mean, you know, why listen to gurus and so on. Just look at what the market's telling you. Right now, the market has been very strong. We know that, but we're starting to see some deterioration now. And these are the groups that cross down. Today, this is the days since the 3 crossed the 6. The zeros represent the groups that crossed down today. Now, all these other groups are positive, but they were down for the day. Now, as I sit here and look at this, I think what will be helpful, and I'm going to add these over the next couple of days, these are the indexes up and down, and you can look down here and see when they crossed over. But down here in my files, I'm going to add both the VPOC and the 3 and 6 crossover indicators for the indexes too. I'm just going to move these or duplicate them, move them up here so you can get a quick read on the indexes that are crossed over the past couple of days, or the volume point of control crossover today. You can see looking at this column. So rather than having to go down here, and I don't have the downside, I just have the bullish side, I'm going to add the cross downs also. So what that'll allow us to do is, rather than just looking at the indexes up today and looking for the number of days, you'll also have the option of just using a single scan, looking for crossovers on the 3 and the 6 and the volume point of control. These crossovers are really powerful indicators because you can tell immediately how old they are, how fresh they are, and if you want to spend some time prospecting. Now, on the older ones, just look at, there's 23 in the electrical components. You can see how handy this column is. I'm going to change to the industry group, and we'll just do the percentage price change on this. And I can go down here to the components index and see that this crossed over 40 days ago, and this stock must have been the leading stock at the time because it's also crossed over 40 days ago, and you can see 41 days ago that corresponds to this, and that happened right here. That's 41 days ago. So in this group, when the index crossed over, this stock was leading the way, and it looks like it's still leading the way. This one was 32 days ago. It says 31, but remember, 0 is the crossover day. And you can see how this has moved up since the crossover. Notice the blue bar coming in here after the move is on. That means there's big money moving into this stock. There were a couple of profit-taking days here, and then another blue bar as money flowed in to this stock. Let's go back to APH. I didn't look at the blue bars. Look at all the blue bars here. Money flowing into this stock. Money flowing in based upon volume. Now I'll look at one more. This crossover on Friday. It only trades 9,500 shares. Not worth looking at. This one crossed over on Thursday. GraphTech. Let's take a look at it. Clearly in a downtrend. It's underperforming the group. The green line tells us that. This is the group. The group's been fairly strong. Well, not a high group rank number, but it's been moving up. And this is a laggard. This is a real dog. But it's crossing over. You can see the little blue or green histogram there. Let's look for something. Let's look at the relative strength column. Now, I didn't point this out, but when the relative strength is that low, that usually tells you that they're in a strong downtrend. Let's go back to this one. You can see that this is trending up because it has a high relative strength. Now, one more. Let's go to the 8-day crossover. The crossover 8 days ago on this one, and it's got a 93 RS. And you can see that this one crossed over right here. There were no blue bars. It was going up on lighter volume, and then big money flowed into it on Friday. This is one you might want to see if it follows through or not. I'm going to end this video right now. I don't want it to get too long, but I just want to show you what I'm currently thinking and how powerful these crossovers are on the 3-6 and also the volume point of control. And these blue and rose bars really give us a clue how strong the money flow is into these stocks. Thank you for listening, and have a happy new year. I'll try to be more regular in my videos. I had a lengthy cold, and I'm coming out of it. Still a little bit raspy, but anyway, thank you for listening, and Happy New Year.